Welcome to The Worthy Woman, a podcast for the intuitive, ambitious woman who's ready to regulate her nervous system, reconnect with her body, and rise to the next level of success, health, and purpose. I'm your host, Jo, manual osteopath, holistic coach, and nervous system guide, here to walk with you as you heal from the inside out and create a life and a business that actually feels good. On this podcast, we explore the connection between your body, emotions, subconscious patterns, and your ability to lead, create, and live from your worth. Let's get into today's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Johanna, if you're new here and you don't know who I am. And for those of you who have been here before, you may have noticed that the podcast has a different name. It has a different picture, little icon. And it's been a minute since I've recorded a podcast episode. So I've been feeling called to do this, called to shift this. And there's a few reasons why. I actually have my notes here today, so I will be sharing that with you guys, but also kind of to let you know what the podcast is going to kind of be like, kind of moving forward. So small changes, nothing major, nothing crazy, but just a little bit of some different topics that might be coming through that maybe I didn't really talk about as much before. So the new podcast title, as you can see, is called The Worthy Woman. Even if you are male, you are more than welcome to be here, more than welcome to listen. You may find that some of these things still resonate with you, especially if you have been listening to me over the last little bit and what I say resonates with you, right? So there might be that resonance between us. So if that's the case, you are more than welcome here. If you are not a woman, that is totally fine. But basically for me, I've been going through a journey, as always, as it never ends really, right? This journey. And I have really been feeling called to pivot a little bit, change some things. One of the things that's actually going to change quite a bit, and this is like me changing so that I can bring things kind of into more alignment with myself, my business, what I do, which is actually a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about on the podcast. But what I've been feeling is like things, as much as I have always known what I want to do, how I kind of want to help, it's like the way in which I go about it has kind of shifted, has kind of changed. And sometimes we need to allow ourselves to pivot. Sometimes we need to allow ourselves to just tweak things a little bit so that they can be in more alignment with us. And so I'm actually going to be putting the podcast as like a priority, we'll say, when it comes to my content, the types of content that I do. It's going to be kind of the focus. So you're actually going to see a lot more of me, which will actually feel really nice because I really do love the podcast format. I do love to express myself this way. I think it's an easier way for me to express myself. Sometimes I find, especially with how quick things are on social media now, it's like hard to get a real point across without people taking it the wrong way or not being able to fully express yourself or fully explain situations. So, I think it's important that we kind of, as probably a lot of you know, if you've listened to me before, I'm very holistic, very global in how I view things and how I like to talk about things. And I don't believe there's just like one fancy answer for everything that's just going to solve all of our problems. We're all very unique. We're all very individual. And so that's where I love the podcast, because I can talk about the nuance, right, between situations and kind of what's going on, really, really allow myself to explain things and help you guys understand too, of like what is going on, how is this showing up, and yeah, just how it can be in your life or not be in your life. So I am changing the name of the podcast. The old past podcast episodes are still around. You can check those out. I just felt like I was ready to kind of rebrand and allow things to feel like they're in alignment with me again and the direction that I really want to go. So like I said, the podcast is going to be kind of the focus. My goal is kind of like one episode a week. If there's any other little tidbits and things that I want to share, I'll kind of pop those in. But yeah, kind of once a week is my goal. And I really kind of want to just not make it so structured. I was getting really feeling like I had to really structure my podcast episodes, and I think I really want to kind of let things kind of flow, and I'll have my notes of things I want to talk about, touch on. But for the most part, we're just gonna see what kind of comes up. I have some ideas of episodes for the next little bit, so we'll probably be on a little bit of a process there. But again, as I feel called to share things, I will. So the worthy woman really is starting to reflect my work. It's I really was trying to get clear on who do I want to work with, what types of things do I want to help people with. And so you will still see the nervous system, the emotions, the embodiment, self-worth, success. How can we just be a more balanced human? And not just from an internal perspective, but how can we, if we have success, we'll say on the outside, how can I also have success in my relationships, my career, my money? How can I have it in every aspect, right? How can I have this big picture, holistic aspect of health and also our life, right? I really truly believe that our mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health is the foundation of how our life ends up looking, how our life ends up, being kind of in front of us, of what we see with our eyes. So there's still going to be all of those talks. I'm not really changing in that instance, but you may hear me talk a lot about business and the balance between business and life, how to maybe elevate your business, right? If you're feeling stuck, which I have in my life. And so I'm bringing through some of those stories of the experiences that I've been through. And yeah, I really will, it'll be a mixture of things. But there will be this element of how can we elevate our lives? How can we be more successful? Whether you're a business owner or not, you might still even get these, if you have any sort of goals in your life, you're going to probably relate with those episodes. So just because it says business, don't be kind of turned off by that if you don't own a business or don't have a business. But obviously if you do, it's going to be super relatable for you. And like I said, I'm going to share my stories and the things that I've been through, in hopes that they connect with you guys and that you can learn things from them and my experiences. So you're really going to, if you're a woman who wants success, you're a woman who wants to, be powerful, be empowered, be bold, be very influential, but also still be very feminine. This is going to be things that you really want to listen to, and these will probably be things that you'll resonate with. It's really mixing the mind, the body, the business, all in one, right? And really kind of how can we find balance? How can we regulate ourselves so that we can have more success, we can have more influence, we can have more power, right? And I don't mean power in an egotistical kind of way, but just where we feel powerful, we feel impactful, we feel confident, really, right? Is kind of what being powerful feels like, is feeling confident and feeling, juiced up, yes, but not, again, in an egotistical way, but feeling like we can kind of take on the world and, not feel like we're a victim to the world, basically. So we're going to talk a lot about that. We're going to talk a lot about the alignment, our energy levels, right? How can we just navigate life and get to the place that we have always had this vision for ourselves for? So you might be thinking okay, well, what types of things navigating? What types of things are you going to help me through, right? And so any sort of things like anxiety, emotional blocks, tension in your body, feeling plateaued when it comes to your goals, your visions, where you're trying to go, your business, your money, right? All those sorts of things, any subconscious blocks, things like that, we're going to touch on, especially the really big ones that are kind of core blocks for a lot of us, right? Whether that's our visibility to be seen, our ability to feel safe, in order to attract more, especially as we're trying to go to places we've never maybe been before, right? And some of you might just feeling be feeling like something's kind of off, right? Something's just kind of off. It's not maybe complete. Maybe you're in the midst of a pivot. Maybe you're in the midst of a launch. Maybe you're in the midst of like revamping everything in your business or changing up your life or just going through changes in your life in general. And this is going to be very supportive for you if you're going through any sort of transition in your life. So again, different episodes obviously might have more or less of a relevance for you, but my goal is to really support you through kind of the chaos, right? Through kind of the overwhelm of life, of this pressure that a lot of us feel to be somewhere at a certain place and a certain time in our life, a certain age in our life, right? And I know I felt that in a lot of different elements of my life where I just feel like I should be there already, right? But what I've noticed for myself is that when I am regulated or I'm able to nurture myself, I'm able to show up for myself, whether that's through like breathwork stuff or it's through just taking time and space to do whatever the hell I want. Maybe it's like reading a book or doing some crafts, right? Like I love to crochet. Any of those sorts of things, they like feed my soul, because so many times, so often throughout the week, I'm constantly giving to other people, right? In my industry, I'm a manual osteopath, so I literally treat people for a living. So I'm giving a lot of my time, my energy, I'm holding space for people, right? And I'm being, we'll say, the rock for other people. But who's giving that to me, right? And a lot of us, especially if you're in a place, if you're a mom, if you're in a place of nurturing people in your business or in your career, or just like managing teams or anything like that, you know that you get to this place and you're like, well, what about my needs, right? Who's supporting me? And what I've come to realize is that even if you have people who support you, even if you're the one who's being supported, you still have to know how to support yourself, because you're the one who knows you. You're the one who really truly knows what you need. And when you can give yourself that, it's like way more rewarding. I find sometimes I talk to people and I have conversations with like friends or family or whatever, and it's like, it helps, but it's also not fully relieving. Like I need more of like the body-based things to, settle me a little bit. And that's where I think knowing how to support ourselves, knowing how to show up for ourselves, knowing how to give ourselves space, to give ourselves time is super, super important. And not enough women are doing that, which is why a lot of us are finding ourselves in this like masculine, kind of more dominant type of energy, which a lot of times you feel like you have to be in business. But how can we blend and have that softness, that feminine energy, in our life more often, right? Because a lot of us, our world is very go, do, push, right? And you can start to see that it's pivoting, it's starting to change. People are not aligning with that so much anymore, especially women, I've noticed. And if women are still in that, they're like getting quite sick, right? Like they have health things coming up. They're having like a burnout where they have to like take time away from their business, right? And so I know for me, I don't want to do that. I want to be able to show up in my business, but also show up for myself and be able to keep being consistent and keep showing up in a healthy way. And so I really want to reframe how business is, how we operate in the world, especially as women, because it's something that I have struggled with, something I've seen a lot of women in my life struggle with, especially having a mom who, is self-employed and has always been self-employed as long as I've known her, and, has really had to be masculine in a lot of her industries just to be able to be successful. And so that narrative is starting to shift. And if we want to be healthy and we want to live a long, soulful, joyful, happy life, one that we actually feel like we got to the end of it and we actually did a lot of the things that we wanted to do and we enjoyed it, then we have to learn to embody a lot of these things and create that sense of balance and get off this hamster wheel, get off this rushing and this doing constantly, and find ways to give back to ourselves. So that's really what this podcast is going to be about. It's really what I'm about. It's really what I believe in. I really believe what shows up in our physical body, whether it's aches, pains, disease, all kinds of things, those things that show up are a reflection of our mental and emotional and spiritual health, right? Really the spiritual, not so much, because the spiritual I think is also a byproduct. Like we feel more connected when we're in a good space. But it's like your mind and your emotions, right? Your beliefs, your subconscious beliefs, your upbringing, your experiences, your trauma, whether it's big T, little t, whatever, all of that shapes what's happening here in our body. And if we truly want to be healthy, then I think we need to start acknowledging those things and noticing those things. And at the very least, just know what we need physically, outside of just exercise and nutrition, right? Those things are obviously important, but I feel like on a lot of people, they scratch the surface. I'm sure a lot of you probably have known or know of a person who was like super healthy in their life. They ate really well, they exercised all the time, and they still ended up with cancer, or they still ended up dying very young, or they still, you know what I mean? And it's like, because there's another layer of health that a lot of us have been avoiding. And we've been taught to avoid it, really. So it's not any of our faults. Sorry. It's not any of our faults that we have avoided these things, our emotions, what's going on in our mind. But now that we have the awareness, now that stigma is starting to shift, I think it's important that we learn how to feel comfortable taking a look at these things. And that's what I really want to hold space with people for. And this is, again, I feel like what's blocking us from that next level version of ourselves. Wherever that is, and there's always more growth, there's always more change, but it doesn't mean that it's not possible, and it doesn't mean that noticing these things is also going to make it simple either, or easy, I should say. Sometimes it's simple, where you're like, okay, this clearly is the thing, but then the other part of that is like, well, it's not necessarily easy. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes there's a lot coming up. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, right? But going through that and having ourselves move through that uncomfortable energy, that uncomfortable feeling, situations, whatever, that's really what's going to get us on the other side of things. That's really what's going to help push us to the other side. So I'm really excited to be bringing this back in. I'm really excited to be diving into the podcast again. Because honestly, it's, I don't even know when, as I'm doing this, I don't even know when the last time it was that I recorded a podcast. It's been a good few months. I want to say it almost might have been like February or March, and we're now in soon to be July, mid-June, I guess. But yeah, I'm just really excited to bring this format back, because I really do enjoy it when I allow myself to just kind of talk about whatever's kind of coming up. So things that you can kind of expect moving forward, like I had said, weekly episodes is kind of my goal. I will be, like I said, maybe adding in little bits here and there. It kind of depends on like how I'm feeling. I'm honestly just trying to go with the flow. I'm trying to really kind of match how I market and how I show up to really truly who I am, instead of just trying to follow all these like tactics and these expectations. So that is what roughly we'll say weekly videos, maybe some others. We are going to talk about like the nervous system regulation tools, things that you can kind of start to look for, things you can maybe start to do. We're going to talk about subconscious beliefs, healing emotions, how all that gets stored in the body, how that's preventing us from getting to next level things in our life. And again, like I said, I'm going to be sharing kind of my stories and things I've processed and been through in my life. I'm also going to bring in my osteopathic insights, things that I see in my practice. That'll all kind of be woven into, again, what it is that I do. Talking about business from a regulated and embodied space. So again, things that I'm learning, things that I'm starting to incorporate, things that I've already started to kind of shift, and having the courage to do those things. That's a whole nother ball game. But really talking about business from a perspective of doing it your way, having a more feminine maybe approach to what is currently being taught all around the world, and just making sure that our business is aligned with us and we're not putting this business out, being super successful maybe in our business, but also sacrificing when it comes to our love, our relationships, our families, our kids, our hobbies, our travel, the things we want to go do, right? Like, so it's really about creating a business that we don't feel like we have to step away from, or that we feel isn't going to burn ourselves out. And then we're just going to talk about like energy, Reiki, spiritual alignment. For those of you who don't know, I actually got my Reiki certification about a month ago, and it has been amazing. I have actually opened up spots for Reiki. I'm doing distance Reiki sessions. Right now they're available on Tuesdays, just because that's a day I'm not going to be in clinic coming up. No matter where you are, it's distance. We actually meet over Zoom. I can do the Reiki through that space. So if that's something that you guys are interested in, you guys can feel free to check out the link below. It's on my website. It's also on my Instagram. So anywhere you kind of follow me, you will probably see that around. But yeah, I'm offering Reiki sessions. And that can be supportive to help remove the blocks, help remove the emotions, help you process things, help you regulate your nervous system. So there can be different things that kind of come through. Reiki kind of works through, similar to my osteo actually, it works through what needs to be processed kind of first. So as much as you might come with an intention, we can have that intention obviously, but as much as it comes with an intention, or you come with an intention, the Reiki is still going to heal kind of what it feels it needs to go through first. So again, it can be a bit of a process, but regardless, you're going to feel like you're going to be able to release a lot of the tension, emotions, and things kind of standing in your way. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to check that out. And yeah, there's just going to be this emphasis on like real grounded healing growth, deep healing growth. So if you're ready for that, then that is amazing. If you're not ready for that, that's totally cool. You can still learn about this stuff, right, as I talk about it, and take that step when you feel ready, when you feel called. I think in my life especially, there's been a definite process, a depth, an understanding that I've had to kind of gain about myself, of really what's going on in my body. I've noticed since 2020, which has kind of started me on this whole journey and wanting to have a podcast and all these kinds of things, that I have a lot of nervous system stuff that likes to pop up. And again, I think it's finding that balance in my life, which I've been working on, but also showing up in ways that are supportive for me. And maybe I can share that with you guys, kind of the things that I've been doing, the things that I find have helped. But the nervous system, what I've noticed is it's not only influenced my health and how I physically feel, my energy levels, but it's been impacting my business. It's been impacting my relationships. I went through a funky kind of time where my boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years now, and I went through a really funky time with my nervous system just kind of went, totally sideways. And it was really, again, came back to that like prioritization of myself and who I am, and giving myself the time that I needed to kind of recharge and support myself. And nobody could give me that, right? That's kind of going back to my point earlier, like nobody could give me that. That was something I had to give to myself. And it was very powerful, and it's way more powerful, I think, when you can give it to yourself. So I went through a funky time with that. And then again, my business, like I've never wanted to have a business that just takes over my life. I don't think a lot of people don't get into business to do that. A lot of people get into business to have that sense of freedom, have that sense of security, but also I get to make up my day. I get to make up my schedule, right? And not a lot of us don't get into business to work all the time. And so I don't have children yet. I'd like to have children one day. And, I don't want to have to be glued to my phone constantly or glued to my business. I want to be able to be present with them and enjoy my time with them, because I'm not stressed, and, it helps them regulate and come from that very embodied place. So for me, business has really been this journey of not just building a business that's like successful, but building a business that's successful in the way of what I need for myself. How I want to show up, what I have the energy and the capacity for, right? Sometimes I look at some people's businesses and it might be perfect for them. The way they've structured it might 100% be in alignment with them, and kudos to them. But there are some people where I'm like, that shit makes me want to cry. I do not want to, I don't really want to be doing that at all. Like, I have no desire to do that. And that's totally fair too, right? I think that's the beautiful part about business, is you can make it however the heck you want. But it's also working through nervous system, it's working through emotions, blocks, things where you kind of hold yourself back, your beliefs, and processing those things and working through them. And I always say that first step is like that awareness that there's something deeper going on. And that's what I really want to kind of bring forth for you guys here, and just support you in, right? So if you're on YouTube watching the video, feel free to comment things down below, obviously. Feel free to ask questions. If you're in just like in your ears podcast style, you guys can always send me a message on YouTube or Instagram. You could send me, it would have to be a comment, I guess, on YouTube, but you can send me a DM on Instagram. That's probably the easiest way to kind of get a hold of me. If you're local, I have osteopathic appointments, in-person appointments. If you are wanting to do some Reiki sessions with me, I've got those distance sessions. I am going to be opening up space for my Elevate Her, which is my 12-week coaching program as well. So if this is something that you're interested in, that's going to be opening up soon. So shoot me a DM on Instagram and we can kind of chat about that. But yeah, I'm really excited to really step forward into this podcasting thing and really make it more what I want it to be. But just utilize it more and have it be my focus. I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited to just talk. So yeah, I will also be making these posts into like a blog, or sorry, these podcasts into a blog. So I'm going to be kind of utilizing both. So if you like to read, you can check that out too. It just kind of diversifies my just diversifies basically my process, I guess. Kind of work smarter, not harder, right? So I will be kind of transcribing that and making that into a blog post. So feel free to check that out if you feel called. That'll be on my website. But yeah, otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I am super excited just to deliver these for you guys. I don't exactly know when I'm posting this, and you may or may not within a couple days see the next topic, the next podcast episode. Mainly because this was just kind of an intro back into things, giving you a bit of an update, but I want to be able to give you guys a more real topic, I guess, in some ways, for the next one. So that might be coming out maybe a few days after this one. So we'll just kind of see what I feel called to do. But regardless, it'll be out at some point. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for showing up again and supporting me through this transition, being here as always. It's greatly appreciated. And I'm excited to see where this journey takes me, but I'm also excited to see where this journey takes all of us as we kind of move through this together and explore these topics together. So, yeah, I'm just going to kind of leave it there. So I hope you guys have a good one, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.